coming to you live at 9 p.m. East Coast time via Facebook, YouTube. As always, let me know where you're watching, whether you're watching live or on replay. Like, subscribe, follow, share, tell people about it, comment. I respond to live comments during the live. And if you leave a comment, I will catch up during the week and respond there as well. Okay. One of the things I hate about podcasts is when people go on and on for a setup and don't get into the topic. So let's get right in. Conspiracy theories, whether or not this is going to be something that makes me look a little nuts or maybe a little too sane and too reserved. We're about to find out. But I have four things I would like to jump into right away. First thing I'm going to jump into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore and the disaster that happened there. Right out of the gate, I know that there are people that are trying to tie this to some form of terrorism or government plot or some type of inside job type of thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not putting on a tin hat for this one. I think this was just an awful tragedy of a shipping container boat where they just lost control of the boat. There was electrical problems. There was all kinds of things happening, black smoke coming out. So all kinds of issues there. Everything that I've seen, and listen, I didn't want to jump out on this on Monday and start throwing things out, and Tuesday and throwing things out. I've been quiet because I've been gathering information, and I've seen enough interviews with people that have been boat captains on these types of vessels. And apparently this type of thing happens a lot. It usually happens in open waters where there's nothing near to crash into. This was one of those situations where it came out of the gate. And unfortunately, it was an unbelievable tragedy. I heard about how they found two people today, and hearts go out to anyone that has lost family in this thing. I'm not going down any rabbit holes on this one. I think it was just a tragedy. The one thing I will say about it that is a little bit disturbing is that our government and President Biden and Pete Buttigieg apparently are already all in on, look, we're going to give whatever money we have. You know, this is going to come out of our bank pocket, our federal taxes, whatever. We have money for this. My question to that is why? Why is the shipping company and their insurance not paying for it? Why is this going to be a taxpayer burden to you're not going to recover the $2 million in lost wages for all of the people that are affected by this. I don't know what kind of losses we're going to have economically with regards to the port being shut down for as long as it takes, not only to investigate, but then you have to move that container out of the way. You're going to have to get the bridge out of the water. You're still looking for, I believe, 6 other people or 4 of the people that are missing. And then you got to open up that waterway and then eventually get shipping back on while rebuilding that bridge. This is a long operation. And for us to bear that burden and not the company that was in charge of this ship, I mean, that to me is you treat it like any accident. If you're driving a car, you go after the insurance company. You go after the driver. Whether it was intentional or not, doesn't matter. The negligence is there. Somebody's in charge of that boat. Somebody's insuring that boat. There's a company that owns that boat. You go after them. So, yeah, that story, again, tragedy. I don't like the way our government's going about handling it. I think we should say, hey, you're flipping the bill. Whatever it costs, you're paying for this. Yeah, maybe we put out the money initially. We have to, but you got to recoup that money. So no wild conspiracy theories on that one at all. Second story, this one I'm going full deep, Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole deep. The Ronna McDaniel story. So I don't know if anyone has not followed this story or not heard about it, but you had the RNC chairperson, Ronna McDaniel, who was just dismissed or left as the RNC chairperson. And apparently NBC hires her to bring her on in a capacity of, look, we need someone from the right to, commentate on stories and give us the different perspective. And then in unison, I mean, everybody on MSNBC NBC, CNBC. I mean, anybody and everybody that's an on-air personality immediately speaks out against this. I mean, there's not one person that says, hey, look, guys, you know what? We need somebody that has a different voice to come on here and at least tell us what they're thinking on the other side, that maybe we don't think that way. Maybe we don't have that perspective or whatever it might be. Let's give this a shot and see how it, not one, nobody, everybody is all in. She's got to go. She doesn't represent our values. She was part of the January 6th cover up and the election denial and this. And we have the highest integrity. Let's stop with the integrity nonsense, because we could go down the list of every host, whether it be NBC, MSNBC, I don't care who it is, between Joy Reid and I got hacked. And then who's the other one? Rachel Maddow. I got the tax documents, which was nonsense. Her COVID thing. If it goes person to person to person, when it gets to the person who's been vaccinated, it stops there. Remember that lie? Russia collusion. I mean, come on. Let's be honest. We can go down the list. And with regards to state-sponsored media, I've said this all along. And listen, I blast Fox News on this too. Okay, you have, what was it? Karine Jean-Pierre was at MSNBC, then went to the White House, while Jen Psaki went from the White House to MSNBC. Then at Fox News, you have Dana Perino, you have Kayleigh McEnany going from the White House to Fox News. So they all do it, but this integrity thing. So my conspiracy theory, call me nuts, and by all means, call me nuts. There's a part of me that just thinks this was a setup from go, because they saw what happened with Megyn Kelly at NBC. This was not like, this shouldn't be a shock that the people that work at the network were like surprised by any of this. Like that shouldn't come off at anybody as a surprise. So to me, it almost seems orchestrated that it was, look, we're going to hire this person. All of you guys go nuts. Everybody, all lose your shit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fire her 2 days later to hold ourselves up to this high level of integrity that, you know what, in the end, no, we can't bring someone like that on board. I'm having a hard time believing that, because here's the thing. If it really was, all of the newscasters are like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Why didn't you ever out the person that did the hiring? Why is it you're attacking Ronna McDaniel? I know you have to attack her because you have to say she doesn't belong here because we disagree with her and she's a terrible person because of all these things. That's fine. But why don't you call out the person that did the hiring? Because think about it. When Bud Light brings on Dylan Mulvaney, for as much as people don't like Dylan Mulvaney, people went after Bud Light because they're like, hey, Dylan Mulvaney's just over there doing Dylan Mulvaney stuff. You're the one that hired Dylan Mulvaney. We're coming after you. So who lost their job there? It was the HR person that brought in Dylan Mulvaney. We haven't heard anything about anybody else at NBC getting fired for this other than Ronna McDaniel, which for me, again, conspiracy theory, full blast. I just think this whole thing was a setup so that they can portray their anchors as these, really high moralistic, high integrity standard people going into the election. And look, we're doing this with the highest level of morality and respect for our industry. It just, I don't know. The whole thing to me seemed staged. I would love to know how you feel about it. I'm having trouble with that one, seeing that they just brought in this person and everyone went nuts and fired her 2 days later. But no one's talking about the person that did the hiring. Nobody. Really? No one else is in a catch heat for that? Just Ronna McDaniel? Like it's her fault for trying to get a job there? I mean, that's my take on that. Next topic. Diddy. All right, listen. Here's the thing with this. I have to tell you, I've represented 2 clients, so it's very anecdotal evidence on my part. And anecdotal evidence does not speak for, what is the norm. So please, as always, whenever I give a comment and I bring my personal perspective, I tell people I have 2 cases to work off of, and 2 cases does not make, what do they say? A peer-reviewed study, so to speak. But I've had 2 clients that have been raided by the FBI. When the FBI and the government come on a warrant and they want stuff, in both cases, for both sets of clients, they literally showed up with, in one situation, I believe it was an 18-wheeler. It may have been an 18-wheeler. At worst, it was a 10-wheeler box truck. But I'm part of me wants to say it was an 18-wheeler. They backed up the truck, went through the door. My client was actually there when it happened. I think they thought that the place was closed. My client was actually there working late, called up and was like, they're taking everything. I'm like, what do you mean they're taking everything? They're taking it. They literally went in hand trucks. They didn't start opening file cabinets and rifling through and looking at papers. They literally threw file cabinets on hand trucks, brought them out to the 18-wheeler and just put everything on the truck. I mean, the place was empty the next day. It wasn't we're sitting here with flashlights looking at documents like it's the Watergate Hotel. No, they're like, we have a search warrant. Here it is. We're taking everything. And my client was like, but you're going to shut me down. I can't operate a business like this. Well, we got a search warrant for everything, and we're not going to sit here and go through everything. He's like, tell me what you're looking for. I'll give it to you. Nope. Walk out the door with everything. And that was in both situations. This was really weird because from everything I've seen, they went in there and basically just started rummaging and looking through stuff. And look, the pictures make it seem like the place was ransacked. I don't know what it looked like before, so I can't say one way or the other what it looked like or what they did because I don't know what it looked like before. It looks like it was ransacked. We don't know if it looked like that before. They came away with nothing. Let me tell you something. I have a picture of the evidence that they took. Here it is. No, that's my dog. That's what it is right there. Nothing. They came away with nothing. A big blank. Here, I have another picture of something. Here's the file nothing. Okay. Look, if you're going to execute a warrant where you're going in with, people, tack gear, M4 guns loaded, you're pulling people out, handcuffing them, zip tying them in multiple jurisdictions, LA, Miami, I believe even the apartment in New York. And this is a fishing expedition. Now, the other weird thing about this, and I don't know because, again, I'm speculating. This is conspiracy theory, Vin. So apparently Diddy has a private plane that was in Van Nuys, California, which is just north of where he lives in Beverly Hills, that was gassed up on Sunday. Before they hit the house, plane is in the air, flies 9.5 hours to Antigua, lands in Antigua. I still have not seen a manifest that has people on this plane. So apparently nobody was on this plane. Why is a plane flying 9.5 hours from LA to Antigua for no reason at all? And then it goes to Miami. Now, he's in Miami the whole time. There's video of him in Miami the whole time. Now, again, conspiracy theory Vin at work here. I have literally no proof of this whatsoever. None. This is me, Tin Hat Vin, all in on this. I'm going to geek out here and go Star Wars, New Hope, Episode 4. Darth Vader's looking for the plans. And Princess Leia's like, hey, we got no plans on this ship. All the people like rebels are like, we got no plans on this ship. They jettison an escape pod. What is that? Maybe is there anything? No, there's no life forms on there. Okay, there's nothing on there. And then sure enough, they land and the 2 droids get out and there's the disc in R2-D2. Did that plane potentially carry the evidence they were looking for? Is that what was that? Because if there were no people on the plane, it's not who was on the plane, what was on the plane. And if there was a what on the plane and the plane lands and whoever is there takes whatever maybe is being sought after in the house off the plane, and it's like, hey, secure that shit. Something happens to me. If I get Epsteined, I want it all public. Release everything. Burn it down. Man, isn't that a great conspiracy theory? That's a good one. That's mine. Again, totally down a rabbit hole. No proof of any of this. Interesting thing is, plane goes to Miami, and sure enough, they pick up his P. Diddy's alleged drug dealer mule. Only person to get arrested in all these raids. All of these search warrants, you get a guy who's moving drugs. That's it? That's all you got? Now, here's the interesting thing. Apparently, and this is news, you could research it, P. Diddy and his lawyer cooperated with police, spoke to police, never arrested. Now, you have 24 hours when you arrest somebody to charge somebody with something. Otherwise, you got to let them go. We saw the family members, at least two of his sons, on the lawn, handcuffed, zip tied, whatever it was. They're gone. There's no charges. There's nothing. They got nothing out of all of this. That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I see a comment. Somebody's checking in. Patricia P. That is a cool theory. Isn't it a great theory? I love that theory. It's the Star Wars New Hope theory. The stuff was on the plane. Nobody was on the plane. Plane lands. Somebody gets the stuff, has it in safekeeping. Don't worry, Diddy. We got you. Something comes out. Something happens to you, which we know you're not suicidal. This stuff goes on blast. Because here's another crazy theory I have. Look, you can pick off politicians all day long. Okay. They'll just slide in another politician. This country, politicians are replaceable very easily. Our government continues to roll and operate. Why? Because who runs this country? It's not the politicians, it's the lobbyists. Okay. The lobbyists literally control our government. They write the laws, they write all of the bills that get proposed. They have professional writers. They supply our government officials with money, put this on the floor, put it to a vote. Boom. That's how you get all this insider trading. That's why all these people become multi-millionaires, because they know what the bill's going to be before it even gets to the floor that they have no control over because they're lobbyists. Okay. So politicians are expendable. They're pawns in a game. And the puppet masters there are Raytheon, Pfizer, Moderna, all the huge companies, too many to list. Okay. Billionaire companies, trillion-dollar companies run all of the politicians replaceable. There's something in this country, though, that is a little bit more sacrosanct, that if Diddy has dirt, I don't know what he's got. There could have been nothing on that plane. Assuming he does have some dirt, assuming he is the Jeffrey Epstein of the rap world, Hollywood world, as opposed to internet. Jeffrey Epstein was more international, heads of state type of creepy. Let's say P. Diddy has information on Hollywood. It's one thing to take out a politician. You burn Hollywood to the ground. If you take out all of our current icons, and again, this is I'm not making allegations here. I'm just going to throw out names that have nothing to do with this. Oprah, Tyler Perry, Tom Hanks, name the people. If you could start breaking careers, who knows who, and you burn Hollywood to the ground, you burn our media to the ground, you've pretty much crippled American society, because look, we're an entertainment-based society for trillions of dollars. That would be an interesting thing. Man, did I go down deep in that bunny hole. I am Alice in Wonderland deep. We're talking Mad Hatter, and we're talking all the way in. Yeah, again, crazy conspiracy, I know, but let me know your thoughts. Having some fun here with these. Last story I wanted to get into. Okay, so RFK Jr. announces that he's running, and he picks his VP, this woman Shanahan, who apparently has buku bucks. I think she was married to one of the Google founders, whatever it is. She gave him $5 million for a Super Bowl ad that he ran, and that's his 30-year-old running mate, and announces, okay. DNC immediately goes into damage control, and they're like, look, we got to take out RFK. And one of the things that I heard that was really disturbing, and I've been hearing this over and over again, he's taking away votes from us. That's one of the things that pisses me off the most as a libertarian, because when I hear he's taking away our votes, what that says to me is the Democrats and even the Republicans on this, we own those voters. Think about that for a second. They basically feel once you're registered Democrat, you're registered Republican, they own you. You belong to them. That vote isn't yours, it's theirs. They own that vote. That he's taking away our votes. No. See, this is, and when I hear this fight for the soul of our democracy, this is a fight for the soul of our democracy. We're trying to preserve our democracy. Well, first of all, a true democracy says we need candidates to run for it. We need options. And right away, what we're hearing from the DNC and people in the RNC is, you know what, this isn't the year for this third party candidate. Now, I'm hearing a lot of rumblings where people are saying that RFK Jr. running is going to hurt Biden more than Trump. And here's what I tell people that say that. You're assuming RFK voters were going to vote for Biden or Trump. What we saw in the Hillary Clinton Trump election was a lot of people stayed home. They didn't vote for either one. So Hillary didn't lose because people voted for Jill Stein. They want to say that. They want to convince you of that. Hillary lost because in key battleground states, people didn't go vote for her. Period. End of story. So it wasn't that they chose somebody else. They chose to stay home for the most part. Okay. Last election, both candidates, Trump got more votes than he did the first time in 2016, and Biden got 80 million votes, which no one ever had. Okay. So now they're saying, well, those votes belong to us. No, they don't. You have to earn those votes. They're not just yours. Those 80 million, you don't own those 80 million people, but this is the scary thing. And I'm hearing it I'm watching social media. I'm hearing it from people on The View. I'm hearing it from people on every mainstream media source saying he's going to pull those people away from us. No, those people are people you've lost. They didn't get picked off. You lost them. And shame on you for losing people that did vote for you, because that means over the last 4 years, you didn't do something right. And the same thing goes for Trump. If they're not voting for you and they're voting for RFK, because Donald Trump went after RFK Jr., called him all kinds of names, his usual thing. If they're not voting for you and they're voting for him, you did, and they voted for you the last time, you did something to lose them. So don't look at RFK Jr. as, oh, you took votes away from us. No, I did something to lose these people. But we don't live in that society right now. We don't live in that space. We don't live in the space where politicians think, what did I do wrong that I lost these votes? It's no. So they're being influenced. It's Russian interference. It's social media. It's TikTok. It's RFK Jr. No, it's you. It's you, motherfucker. You screwed this up. Okay. You're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So this notion that was one of the most annoying things. Now, here's another thing. If you're RFK Jr. and Joe Biden took a risk on this. So Joe Biden takes a picture, and I think it was at the White House, with all of the Kennedys, showing him, look, you may be a Kennedy in bloodline, okay, but you're a Kennedy in name only and bloodline only. Because look, all of your family is here with me right now. So you know what? Who's the real Kennedy? Wow. Listen, you want to motivate somebody to not drop out of election. And the crazy thing is, for as much as people talk about Trump and whether or not the DOJ is weaponized against Trump, and do we know for sure? No. One thing we do know for sure, and this is a fact, the DOJ is weaponized against RFK Jr. because they are actively trying to sue RFK Jr. in multiple states to keep him off the ballot. That's a fact. They are suing him to keep it. They are going state by state to keep him off the ballot. Now, that's fighting for the soul of democracy. If your Bidenomics is working, if your approach to Israel is working, if your approach to Ukraine is working, if all of your Green New Deal stuff is working, if all of these things that you put in place are working, why are you worried about this third-party candidate that you're calling some type of lunatic, whatever, anti-vax, all of this stuff? If your record is so good, run on your record. Why are you suing to keep this guy off the ballot? That's democracy. That's really fighting for the soul of democracy. Wow. So I think personally, I think Trump is in trouble. I think Biden's in trouble because I don't think this is RFK is as much of a 13, 14% outlier as people think. And again, tin hat, going full tin hat. If he starts creeping up into that 20% area, this is going to be an interesting election. This is going to be a real interesting election because, look, I think there's one of the polls I saw is what 70% of people don't want Biden or Trump running. They don't want to vote for either one of them. 70% now have a third option because he needed a VP. Part of the reason why he had to name a VP is because you need a VP as an independent to show up on these state ballots. So now they can put themselves on all these ballots. And he's got a money person to help fight these lawsuits and get them. It was a very strategic, smart pick. I know people are talking Aaron Rodgers and all that crap and Jesse Ventura. This was a very strategic, smart pick. Now, some people have said, you know what, RFK, you're just doing this to pick off voters. And you know what he said? Yes, I am. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. That's what everyone tries to do when they run. They try to pick off voters. They are picking voters up. That's what running an election is. What kind of stupid shit is this? So I don't understand how people can say this is a democracy, but you know what? We only should have 2 people running for president. Really? That's a democracy? Here's my other favorite one. You know what? I'm all for a third-party candidate, just not this time. No. Every time should be a time for people to have more choices because here's what we have in this country. And George Carlin said it best. You walk into Baskin Robbins, you got 30 however many flavors of ice cream. You got 30 however many different types of bagels. But when it comes to an election, you're getting 2 choices. And you know what your choices are? The choices we give you, not the choices you want. So to me, this notion, we do need a third party, but not now. No, now more than ever. And you know what? If RFK gets traction, let's say he doesn't win, he gets traction, that's how you build a third party. Because now he could literally start building a third party with however many million of people wind up voting for him. There's your base. There's your constituency. Now people in all those states can look and say, wow, how many people in New Jersey voted for RFK? 1 million? That's enough to start a third party in Bergen County, Essex County, whatever county it may be, Monmouth County, whatever county he may have the most popularity. All of a sudden, let's run some candidates in that county. Where did he get votes? In California? Let's start putting candidates in that county. Where did he get votes? And you start picking off people slowly. That's how a third party comes into power. And listen, my parents were from Italy. That's how you get third parties, fourth parties, whatever. That's how it grows. So these are my crazy tin hat conspiracies for March 27th. I do see some people are logged in and watching. Wow, we got 12 people logging in live. That's cool. Patricia P., one of my diehards, thank you. That's a cool theory. I agree. They lost those votes. Yeah. Who was suing him? Biden. The DNC is taking RFK to court in the various states, trying to keep him from going on the ballot. I think, in fact, they said one of his super PACs, look this up and someone comment on it. I believe they're saying one of his super PACs violated one of the election laws, and that violation should keep him suspended from ballots. So it's literally the DNC, it's Joe Biden, the DOJ. They're going after our, and if it's not the DOJ, again, it could just be the DNC. Correct me. Listen, I tell people all the time, I come on here, I put out stuff based on what I've read. If I'm wrong, I will be the first to admit it. I'm wrong. I am not mainstream media. I will do a mea culpa and say, I got that one wrong. So by all means, fact check me. Last time I checked, we're in a democracy, more the merrier. Well, it's not really a democracy, Patricia. It's not. This is more of a democratic republic with strong ties to capitalism. And you're talking about a different run country because, let's be honest, the lobbyists, the Fortune 500 run this country. In fact, I got to get on this story. Apparently, someone divested money from BlackRock, like billions of dollars. And now BlackRock is like, you can't do that to us. Yeah, I got to look into that story next. Rich Nash, me, one of my diehard fans. The ignorant people that don't vote for Trump are content with all the illegals entering the country. That makes no sense to me. Well, look, here's the one thing I will say about the border and immigration. This system has been broken for decades. Now, don't forget, one of the strongest speeches we ever heard on the House floor, Senate floor, wherever it was in DC, one of the strongest immigration speeches about having strong borders and having, you know, difficulty in coming into the country and simply crossing over and claiming asylum and all this stuff. One of the presidents that gave the strongest speech with regards to that was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton went all in the 90s saying we have to stop illegal immigration. In fact, one of Trump's speeches, if you put it and ran it side by side with Clinton's speech, it almost looked like he plagiarized the speech. It was almost word for word for the same. So, look, what's happening right now really looks like to me we have to throw more people into certain states to throw off the census to get more numbers because we need more votes. And again, it seems to be coming from one party, and it's the party on the left. Because I think a lot of what happened is, again, it's this notion, Rich, that those are our voters. We own those voters. And then what happens? The Hispanic community, the African-American community starts to have success. They start to work themselves away from all immigration, all immigrants. Even the Italians that came here, came here literally and were more Democrats than Republicans, okay? They start to earn money. They start to move away from a lot of the social programs and say, hey, you know what? No, we can't be dependent on social programs our entire lives, and start to look at some of the Republican principles, which tend to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to religion, when it comes to certain rights, gun rights, protecting homes, schools, things like that. And it becomes, hey, wait a minute, you know what? I'm actually more here than I am there. Not completely. I'm in the middle, but right now, this sounds better than that. And what's happened is the DNC feels like we're losing those voters. So you know what we do? Let's bring in the new crop. Let's bring in a new crop of people that are completely dependent on us, completely need us for what we give them. And again, this is that feeling of ownership, of we own you. You're ours. You are forever. When you declare yourself a Democrat, we own you, which is why I love that I've been declared unaffiliated, not independent, unaffiliated from day one. So that's my take on that. Robert Marini, another super huge fan. Thank you for checking in. Good evening. Thank you, Robert. Yeah, listen, again, want to do these videos at least once a week, half hour. This was a fun one. Vin Tin Hat. Where I was going to call it Vin Hat, Tin Hat, whatever you want to call it. Super conspiracy theories. Again, for the people watching live, thank you. And I think we had more people watching this one than anyone so far. Tell your people about this video. Like, share, comment. If I get anything wrong, tell me. Put a link to whatever news story you have saying, Vin, you screwed this one up. I will do a mea culpa the next time. Also, by the way, sound system. My buddy Will Sanchez hooked me up. This is a real mic, by the way. This is not like some fake thing here. I got a voice thing. Look at this. All kinds of, that's my buddy Will Sanchez hooked me up big time with this. Want to thank him because he said, love your content. It sounds like crap. I'm going to hook you up. And he did. Everybody, thank you for checking in. Like, subscribe, share, tell everybody about me. I will be performing in Naples, Florida, opening for Kevin Nealon. Oh, and today I did a spot speaking on Kennedy. Let's go off on Kennedy. We're going to leave on Kennedy. I did a Fox News with Kennedy. She's at Kennedy Nation. Had a lot of fun doing it. Check it out if you can. I put it on my Facebook page. Go check it out. Everybody, thank you for checking in. We'll do this again real soon. Thanks, everybody.